The Presidency. April 11, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. A lot of people have been asking why no presidential seal at press conferences? Technically, two reasons. First, the British Monarch and the Holy See, are running the Federal Subcontractors as corporations, and we have no agreements with any corporations. Our agreements are directly with the British Monarch and the Holy See. They are directly in receipt of our delegated power, but they have no right to avoid the responsibility for the exercise of that delegated power by passing it off to third parties, governmental services corporations, and letting those, as I have termed it, subcontractors of subcontractors, run wild. The Queen has the right to exercise the closed, encircled, Great Seal of the United States of America when doing something that pertains to her duties under the Constitution of the United States of America. The Pope has the right to exercise the closed, encircled, Great Seal of the United States when doing something that pertains to his duties under the Constitution of the United States. If Mr. Trump were operating in his correct capacity as the President of the United States of America, he would have the right to use our unfettered, unencircled, Great Seal of the United States of America, but as it is, no, he can't use our seal if he's not working for us, and he is not supposed to be using the Queen's seal or the Pope's seal, either. They, the principals, are uniquely responsible for the use and the abuse of those seals. Read that they, the Pope and the Queen, are totally responsible for all the actions of these incorporated subcontractors, these governmental services providers, on our shores. So that is the first reason why Mr. Trump cannot function as a subcontractor of either the Pope or the Queen and exercise those seals for them. The second reason is that both the governmental services corporations are bankrupt and in receivership to their bonding company. You can't very well act as president of a bankrupt corporation that is in receivership, can you? This is what has given rise to rumors that the Jewish mafia has taken over, but no, it hasn't. Mr. Fink is just doing what bonding companies do in such situations. The fact is that his companies are chartered under our auspices, which means that we own BlackRock, Inc., too. Here is the fact that the Queen's gentlemen obscure when they encourage everyone to incorporate everything. When you incorporate anything, you give it away to the sovereign entity that issues the charter. In exchange, you get bankruptcy protection from the sovereign. You can now see why in some very limited circumstances this would be a good deal. If, for example, you were Bill Gates, and involved in creating infectious diseases for profit, you would appreciate having your personal fortunes protected by incorporating your infectious disease company. You can also see how millions of unwary business owners who aren't engaged in anything risky have foolishly incorporated their businesses and given away their life's work and substance, without even being aware that they have done so. So, the Pope and the Queen, through their unauthorized subcontractors doing business as the United States, Inc., and the United States of America, Inc., and all their subcontractors' franchises doing business as the State of Idaho and the State of Idaho, too, have been going around issuing corporate charters like mad. But at the end of the day, they are all just doing what? Exercising our delegated authority for us. Our states are the actual sovereign governments that actually own all those corporations. Many fascist corporatists like Bill Gates have been ignorantly involved in trying to tear down the national sovereignty of this and other countries, unaware of the fact that if they do succeed, all of their corporations will be dissolved and they will be left with nothing. It has still not come home to them that their dragons are made of paper. And that we own the paper. Now, as to the more important question, why isn't Donald Trump functioning as the President of the United States of America? There are three offices of the President: air, land and sea. 1. President of the United States, air, which is subject to the Pope and bankrupt. 2. President of the United States of America, sea, which is subject to the Queen and bankrupt. 3. The President of the United States of America, land, which is subject to us and very far from being bankrupt. While acting in a federal capacity, Mr. Trump can function as a dual citizen, and so, he can operate any two of the above three offices, depending on which citizenships he adopts. Thus far, he has elected to operate as both a territorial minion, President of the United States of America, and a municipal minion, President of the United States, but he has not occupied what we all think of, the office of the President of the United States, which would require him to declare his political status as an American, as we have done, and to give up one of those other two foreign political statuses. George Washington resolved this quandary by strictly limiting the municipal government to the 1 mile square provided them in the District of Columbia, by claiming his American state national status as a Virginian, and by claiming his United States citizenship at the same time. This left him in total control of the armed forces, except for the Navy when on the high seas and navigable inland waters, that is, able to act as the commander-in-chief, and also allowed him to act as the supreme executive officer of the actual American government, working directly for the states and their Federation of States, the United States of America. To act as our supreme executive officer and as commander-in-chief, Mr. Trump merely has to declare his two chosen political statuses as, 1, a New Yorker, and 2, a United States, that is, territorial, citizen. We have respected the choice of the 63 million Americans who may not have been acting in the correct political status themselves, but who nonetheless gave voice and made a choice in favor of Mr. Trump. We have invited him to return home and occupy the actual office. For whatever reasons, he hasn't done so. He has stubbornly continued to act in the two foreign capacities, even though both of those foreign corporations are in bankruptcy. This is a very inconvenient choice from our perspective, as it leaves us doing all the work ourselves while our erstwhile public servants flounder around in two private bankruptcies that are totally unnecessary. Unnecessary? Yes, unnecessary. Why? As we have already explained, ad nauseum, the debts are owed to us. All of these debts are owed to us, the American states and people. We have so much credit and so many assets built up around the world that the U.S. national debt is inconsequential, just a matter of some bookkeeping entries. Think about it, we have no interest in bankrupting these governmental services corporations. That has simply been done to bring them to justice and common sense. So, Mr. Trump needs to declare his political status as a state national of New York and as a territorial United States officer known as the Commander-in-Chief. The moment he does so, we can get the show back on the road. The bramble in the path toward that happy outcome is being presented by members of the same military psyops team that is bringing us the ridiculous war against the common cold. They want to try to bamboozle the public with yet another rendition of the Justinian deception, a very old, going back to the Roman Emperor Justinian, fraud scheme involving the use of anglicized Latin, aka dog Latin, aka parse syntax. Instead of going all the way back and doing the proper reconstruction that can only be done by the actual states of the Union, these freebooters want to pretend that it is 1865 again, and that they can just come in and usurp a Roman municipal corporation on us, just as the Scottish interlopers did back then. Wrong answer. A fraud at the beginning is a fraud at the end, null and void from inception, destined for the rubbish bin. If you enjoy having Anna's latest articles made into videos, please consider making a purchase from Ed's website sacredintuitiveelements.com. Thank you.